So we are live. Welcome everyone who is coming in to Disney Fiasco. We are missing our leader,
Fearless
Dan.
leader Dan.
Yep, and Dan is having a really fun time at Walt Disney World, and we love that he's having such a great time. Let's see who's in the chat. Zoe's here. D. Well, Miguel, if that's you, I don't know.
No, that's D. That's D.
And then our fearless leader, Dan, Steve, Angela, Corey's in here too. But I have our other partner, Corey, here. Corey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, I'd be a lot better if our buddy Dan was here, but we have Miguel filling in for him today, so that's awesome as well. Happy to have him back on Disney Fiasco. I think, Miguel, were you the guest in week 2 of Disney, episode 2, I think you were on.
I think we were episode 3, because I think you
Gotcha.
had Steph, and then Megan, and then us. And
Gotcha.
then Megan became a staple. So
Yep.
we must have made you guys feel like you don't want guests anymore. So
No
I
way.
think you guys suggested it. I mean, you're like, is Megan going to be...
we did. Yeah, absolutely we did. Yep.
And Miguel, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for coming on here, and just we love talking to you guys and hanging out with you. So
Yes, you three channels are just, I don't know, I feel like the three of you have become good friends of ours, and so we are thrilled to have been invited. Dee is putting the kids down. Hopefully she'll be able to join us soon. She is in the chat, so I'll be kind of filling in for now. But yeah, just thank you for having us. We're doing well and happy to be here.
oh, that's so nice to hear. So for everyone in the chat, we are going to be talking about some of the things that we're most excited for in the future for Walt Disney World, or if you guys even want to talk about other parks that you might be excited for. So I know I personally picked for Walt Disney World. I don't know about you guys. Did you include any other parks or just Disney, like Disney World?
I just have Walt Disney World or surrounding Walt Disney World things.
Okay, how about you?
Now I'm intrigued, Corey. But I just did Walt Disney World as well.
Okay, awesome. So, Miguel, why don't you start it off since you're our guest? We'll go you, then Corey, then do me. Dan goes last. So I have Miguel, tell us about your first choice.
Okay, so my first choice, the thing I am most excited for coming up in the near future will be Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That is what I'm most looking forward to. And I feel so torn about this because I miss the Great Movie Ride. And normally when they take a ride away like that, I'm not happy about it. And yet I love the idea of having something that's kind of a tribute to Mickey and Minnie, gives us some history. I think of all the things that Hollywood Studios is doing that moves it away from its original kind of intent, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway almost recovers some of that. And so we're really, really excited about it. And I can't imagine me not loving that ride. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Corey, how do you feel about that ride?
Yeah, that's a great pick. I don't know why I didn't even think of it. And it's probably because, like you said, Great Movie Ride has to be one of my favorite attractions ever. I loved that ride so much when I found that it was going away. That crushed me. So my expectations for the railway are very, very high. But I like what you said. Having a ride that is representative of the mouse himself, I feel like is really important and deserves a spot in Hollywood Studios. So I'll be looking forward to that a lot as well.
Yeah, so I actually had this on my list as well, and I am so excited. It is like quoted as 2.5D, so I'm really intrigued to see what that is supposed to be like. So you don't have any 3D glasses, but I'm ready to be sort of immersed into that world. I'm not as big of a fan as that animation style. I don't know about you guys. How do you feel about that?
Corey?
Feel about the animation style of Runaway Railway?
Yeah, like that newer animation style for Mickey and Minnie.
I do like it. I think I do prefer the more classic version of animation, but I mean, Walt himself, like, he prefers to always keep moving forward, and with new advances in technology and capabilities, he would like us to use them to its fullest. So for them to implement a new style of animation, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think I share Corey's thoughts on it as well. I don't know that I'm a huge fan of it. I'm more a fan of the concept of the ride of the but yeah, Walt was an innovator and always moving forward and changing things up, and so yeah, I think I would have preferred not even like the kind of classic Disney movies that we think of, but even older than that. When animation was becoming what kind of the big thing. I would have loved for it to be more about that, but I think it'll turn out fine.
Yeah, I think it's really intriguing for us as guests because we can't see any of the construction, not like Toy Story Land or what we see for A Galaxy's Edge. Like, we can't see the construction all inside. Excited to see when that ride opens, what it's going to be like, what like that experience. And like Miguel, you said, I am sort of disappointed because I loved the Great Movie Ride, and it's just like I can't wait to see what the new ride is like.
Absolutely, it's going to be held to a high standard. I know a lot of people. Well, I feel like now that it's down, a lot of people, it's like you didn't know what you had till it was gone kind of deal with the Great Movie Ride. That's not my vibe on it at all. I completely loved it while it was there, and I'm devastated that it's gone. But to me, it definitely has a high standard to meet because it's going to be getting compared to the attraction it replaced ultimately.
But I think too, we want to keep in mind, and this is why sometimes, I scratch my head. I don't know what Disney's thinking, but on this one, if I had to bet my money, I'd bet that they're going to knock it out of the park because this is the major thing that you see when you walk into Hollywood studios, right? So if you think about it, the Great Movie Ride was a fantastic ride when they made it. Spaceship Earth. Sorry, Spaceship Earth was a fantastic ride when you saw it. And again, it's a little dated now, but it still was a fantastic ride when it first was. And so I think that just being where it's placed in the park, Disney knows it has to be fantastic. And so I think it will be.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think everything, I think Dan said, Dan, what did you say? Oh my gosh. You can always trust Disney. And I do think that Disney always does like the best that they could possibly do out of everything. And I don't know, I have faith in them, That's my 2 cents.
I would agree. I would always have faith in Disney, and like Miguel said, especially because it's that centerpiece attraction. That's a really good point. But I also have one more point. What about Soarin' though? Soarin', yeah. So like, so they changed Soarin' over California, which was an absolutely amazing attraction, and they made it Soarin' around the world. And then the picture on the screen wasn't properly calibrated for all the seats.
Yeah, that really bothers me a lot of the time because I'm not going to wait a half hour to watch the Eiffel Tower veer.
You mean it doesn't really do that in real life?
Okay, to be honest, the first time I saw that, I was like, the Taj Mahal looks like that? No, it's not.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Corey. I think they definitely have to sort of be on their game for that because I think it is a lot of like screen projections. But I think, I don't know, I think we'll get the best out of it. And I know we will always miss the Great Movie Ride, but it's sort of nice to have something new and exciting coming into the park. And I think that's what this whole stream is about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's move on to you, Corey. What is your number one?
Okay, so my number one, this is kind of a cheat. Sorry, but it is still my number one. It's what I'm looking forward to the most. So I don't know. Everybody here knows that I'm a pin lover. I'm a pin collector. I collect a lot of pins. And
really?
They have some over. Oh yeah, right. Over my head. They have something in California though that we don't have in Florida, and that is the Disney Studio Store Hollywood. We don't have that, and They have these really awesome releases that people wait in line for, and they get a ticket, and it's big hype, and then me here sitting on my phone trying to get it on the secondary market later is a big deal.
It's expensive.
It is. But Florida is getting kind of their own version of that this year through Acme Hard Art Pins. Mm-hmm. So Acme Hard Art released their new pin lanyard trading set, and they're going to continue releasing new pins from that series. And those new releases are actually going to be available through a ticket-like system in Orlando. So I'm going to be living there, and I'm going to be able to pick them up as they get released. And that is, bar none, the most exciting thing on my list this year.
Right? That's awesome. That's awesome.
Miguel, I know that you and Dee aren't as into pin trading, but how do you feel about that since you guys do live in the area as well?
Yeah, no, that is exciting. Pin trading is not, I mean, it's something we've dabbled in, but certainly not to the level of either of you. And so, but it is something that we like. And I would say it just provides us with an opportunity to perhaps grab some additional pins that maybe, like, we're not going to go out of our way like Corey and be on our phone to try and pick it up in a secondary market or whatever. But being local, being able to have access to it just opens up more opportunities for us.
Yeah, for sure. So I love pins. I don't think I'm as crazy as Corey is when it comes to pins. Like he was saying that he spends like $1,000 a month, and I do not spend that much. But I think like that's amazing. Like the pins I usually look for are Disney Studio Store Hollywood pins, and those are like the most coveted pins, especially those new cutie princess ones. They're like, a lot of them are like LE250, LE300, and so on. And those are really, really nice pins. And I'm really excited to have a store like that. I mean, I don't live in the area, but I think
you have friends who do.
Yes, and maybe
they
could pick me up some pins, and I'll pay them. And Sooner Girls, so Leanne says, I don't think anyone is as fanatical as Corey when it comes to yeah, for sure. And I think we all see that in Corey's videos, but that's why we love watching his videos, because we see his passion for pins, and clearly that is reflected in his number one choice.
Thanks a lot, guys.
No, yeah. That's excellent. That's good. And I'm so glad that you mentioned it, Corey, because I don't think that would have been on my list or Megan's. So
yeah,
I wasn't aware. So
yeah, I was just thinking about like attractions and things that were coming to the parks, really. Yeah. So that was a really great pick.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I was thinking a little bit outside the box, and I figured that it might catch some people by surprise, because it's like brand new, fresh news.
Yeah, and Cargo says Corey with pins is like me with sugar, and we know that Cargo likes candy. So. Yes, I'm just gonna mine on, and I think everyone is really excited for this, and I just like new lands, so I picked Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and I'm really excited for this. We're getting 2 new attractions, and just a whole new themed land, and that's what I'm really, really excited for. I'm not as into Star Wars as a lot of other people, but I always get very excited for new lands and new attractions, new rides, new themed areas. So I am just very excited. I'm sure you guys are excited too for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So what are your thoughts on this new section in Hollywood Studios?
That was actually the number 2 on my list. Surprise, surprise. I'm so excited for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We're going to be there. We're going to be living there when it opens with the no blockout date annual passes.
Oh, snap.
So I will be that crazy person waiting at 3 o'clock in the morning for the park to open and booking it to the gates of Galaxy's Edge to be one of the first people through there. And probably scoping out Hollywood Studios around the afternoon, a few days prior to, for the hopes of a soft opening. But so pumped for that to open up. That full-size Millennium Falcon.
I know.
Give me a break. That's just the coolest thing in the world.
Oh, man.
I think it's going to be, that's going to be so crazy. So, Miguel, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
are you going to go at 3 o'clock in the morning like Corey?
No, definitely not. Yeah, but I am excited about it. It was number 3 on my list. And yeah, so for us, Dizney are not huge Star Wars fans. But a couple things on that. Dee and I, our anniversary is in June, and our passes now, our annual passes, allow us to go through the summer. But when we first became annual pass holders, we were blocked out during the summer. So we used to celebrate it in May. We used to celebrate our anniversary in May. And this was when we were living in South Florida, so we'd stay at a resort and celebrate our anniversary at Disney pretty much every year. And that would always fall on Star Wars weekend at Hollywood Studios. So even though Dee and I are not big Star Wars fans, we loved going on Star Wars weekend, and it almost became this annual thing that we would do, not as Star Wars fans, but just because we were celebrating our anniversary. But we saw what Disney would do with it. And so when Disney acquired the rights to be able to have Star Wars, I know a lot of Star Wars fans lamented, but for me, it was kind of like when they got the rights to Avatar. I didn't love the movie, but I knew Disney was going to be amazing with it. And so that's how I feel about the whole Star Wars thing. I will thoroughly enjoy Galaxy's Edge, even if I'm not, a huge Star Wars guy. So,
yeah, I think for me, the whole world of Pandora was so amazing. I cannot wait to see what they do with Star Wars, a franchise that people are so passionate about and people love so dearly. It will be so exciting to see what they do with it. And I know we have those little models in One Man's Dream, and they have some videos coming up from, oh, hi, Dee.
What's up, Dee? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Dee, to the stream. Just joining us.
Yeah, what's up, Dee? I hope that you answer some of the questions, too. You could throw in your 2 cents for anything, too, if you feel like it. Are you excited for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge?
I am excited. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm just enjoying that there's going to be a new land to explore. But I kind of wish I could have gotten into all the Star Wars movies before it comes, just kind of prepare myself for it, so...
Yeah, I always like new lands. It's just something so exciting about walking into a new land and experiencing it for the first time. That's why I'm so excited to do Toy Story Land. But next fall, we'll have our Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So I'm so excited.
Very cool.
Okay,
it's gonna be awesome. And
yes,
like Miguel was saying, things are usually pretty safe in Disney's hands. And I felt the same way about Star Wars when it got bought out by Disney, in the same way about Marvel too. And I thought The Force Awakens specifically, some people didn't like that movie, but it was one of my absolute favorites. I feel like they just knocked it out of the park. The Last Jedi was good too, as a standalone movie. No spoilers. I was a tad disappointed with the direction they went with a specific bad guy. That's all I'll say. But yeah, things are usually very safe in Disney's hands, and I'm looking forward to the future movies too.
Yeah,
I feel like 9's gonna probably round things out pretty well.
The only thing I have to say about the Star Wars movies and the films is just that there's so many of them, and when are they ever going to stop?
Yeah, I know, right?
I have no idea when they'll ever stop. But I mean, if it were like Lord of the Rings, I wouldn't complain, you know, because that's my franchise. But I don't know. Let's just, Miguel, let's move on to yours and Dee's if she wants to answer. I think what we're on your second pick.
Yeah. Did you want to throw something in?
I'll throw something in. This is more of nostalgia for me. The Disney Skyline coming. Have we talked about that yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward for the Skyline coming.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid going on that and really enjoying it. It's just fun, like way to travel through the park. So yeah, I'm really looking forward for that coming.
Yeah, that's actually on my list too. So I was really excited when they announced that, and that we can go between the resorts and Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and I think it'll just be so cool to see Walt Disney World from that bird's eye view.
Totally, I totally agree.
And this was also on one of my honorable mentions too. And the gondola system that they're implementing, I think, is really, really smart, because as many different transportation methods as Disney can feasibly think up to get guests from one point to another is going to free up traffic from the other ones. So more people on the gondolas, less people waiting in line for the bus, less people trying to cram onto the boat or the monorail. So it's just another option to spread out the herd of guests into different transportation locations and just all around make everybody's experience end up better.
That's a great point, Corey, that it even has secondary benefits, you know, it's not just for the people who are actually riding it, but for everybody else as well. So
right.
Great. Yeah.
Yep, and Dan says, as long as the Skyliner has food on it, copyright Disney Dan. So I'm sure we can make it happen for you.
Oh, man.
So, Miguel, was that your second pick as well?
It wasn't, but I'll go ahead and just kind of drop my lame-o one at the bottom, so we'll just shift everything down one, so we're good.
Okay, awesome. Corey, what is your second one?
All right, so my second one was Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and then the gondolas was my number 4. So sandwiched right in between those, I have a dining experience that is coming soon. So if you know me, you know my favorite quick service at Disney Springs is Wolfgang Puck Express. But Wolfgang Puck is getting their own full-service restaurant inside of Disney Springs. So I'm super, super stoked for that, because the quick service is absolutely phenomenal. And they get that out in like 5-10 minutes when you sit down and eat there. But just imagine if like the Wolfgang chefs are actually really preparing your food at a full service restaurant. It's going to be so, so good. And I cannot wait to go there when it opens.
I have actually never tried that, so I will definitely have to try that when I go down and visit Disney Springs. What kind of food did they serve there, Corey?
They serve all sorts of different things. The menu's pretty open. They sell a whole bunch of different sandwiches at Express. They sell a whole bunch of different sandwiches. They sell pizza. The pizza can be catered to however you need it. Like, I personally don't like cheese, and they don't question that at all. Just a whole bunch of awesome stuff. And then it's like a kind of like, Wolfgang is kind of like a signature thing. So he has like his own like signature spin on things. So I'm very curious to what the menu is going to look like when the full service comes out. I assume it to be a little bit different, a little bit less sandwiches and pizza, and a little bit more like fancy, but it's still going to be awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That's awesome. We love the pizza there, and it's one of the places at Disney Springs that you can go, that Express, that's not a sit down.
Yeah.
Don't really need, you don't need a reservation. Like, it's a really nice place to hit up. The margarita pizza there is fantastic.
It's legit.
That's where it's at.
And if you want to see Corey eat cheeseless pizza, check out his vlog, because he actually shows you the cheeseless pizza.
Shameless plug.
Yes.
Okay, I think that we're the only people that think like cheeseless pizza is not weird, because I also don't eat pizza with cheese. So like seeing Corey's vlog, Haley like represent. Yeah. So, I mean, food. Who doesn't like Disney food? So that's really exciting. So I'm just my second one was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So I'm just gonna go for my third one since Miguel already talked about it.
Oh, I missed
which
it.
is the Ratatouille ride.
The what?
The Ratatouille ride in the France Pavilion coming up. So I am so excited for that attraction. I hear that it's going to be really, really similar to the one in Disneyland Paris. Dan is saying, "What's going on? Well, gotta have cheese on pizza." Yeah, you guys are talking about
I'm with you.
cheese. It's gotten carried away. And speaking of Ratatouille, cheese for the Remy, and that is I feel like that's an underrated movie, Ratatouille, and so I'm so happy it is being represented in the park, and we're getting a trackless ride. And I have never been on a trackless ride. I would love to go on the Winnie the Pooh one. I think, Rob, you've been on it, the trackless Winnie the Pooh ride, and I would love to go to Disneyland Paris one day and ride the Ratatouille one there. But if we're getting our own, then you never have to go to Disneyland Paris to ride Ratatouille. So I'm really excited about that. How do you guys feel about that attraction?
So I would say no Ratatouille ride if it was replacing Impressions of France. Mm-hmm. But I saw the map of their concept of the Ratatouille ride, and it's actually located, it's like tucked behind where Impressions of France are. So I feel confident that they will just keep both attractions there in Epcot. And in that case, I am super excited for the Ratatouille ride, but I was really scared there for a minute because Impressions of France is probably one of my favorite attractions in Epcot and like at least top 10 overall, just because it's that perfect take a break, relax, ease your mind, calming type of experience. And I didn't want that to go away. I just loved it so much, and it's always empty. So that's a little bit of fear with that, because literally on the most busy day in the park, it was still empty. But super excited to have both attractions there. And then maybe with the Ratatouille attraction, Impressions might get some more appreciation and love.
Yeah, I think it will. And Rob did say he loves trackless rides, and Winnie the Pooh Honey Pot Adventure is his favorite Disney ride. So that's so cool. Rob has actually been to Tokyo Disney. That's so cool that he's got it. But how about you, Miguel? Are you really excited for this attraction or no?
Yeah, so there's the ongoing debate of how much Disney movie, how much Disney characters do we want in World Showcase, and in Epcot in general. And I think it's just safe to say whoever was resistant of that, we've lost. So it's time to accept what's going to happen. And so I would say, in light of just needing to accept that reality, I'm excited about it because I'm willing to kind of embrace this idea. You guys know I rode the Frozen ride for the first time last week or so, and really liked it, and so I think it will go well. It still fits the theming of the pavilion, and so yeah, I would definitely be looking forward to that, and I think it'll add something. I think the reality is that as adults, we all love Epcot, but kids do kind of say, like, there should be more. And so I think Disney needs to has realized, yeah, it's great that we have adults that love to come, but we do want the kids to be here as well. So, yeah, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I do think, like, we have Food and Wine, and I think that generally is geared more towards adults. And Flower and Garden we have something really similar with a lot of alcohol. And I think a lot of the attractions in Epcot are more geared towards adults, not necessarily children or even older adolescents. But I do think including another like Remy ride or Ratatouille ride, like similar to Frozen, where you're sort of introducing kids into Epcot, I think that's really important for Disney to bring in the crowd. So I hope that it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and I also think that Epcot, on a completely another topic opposed to like more things geared to kids, they also are in a need for more fast passable attractions, because right now it's just pretty much the same things. Everybody wants the same things. Do you want Frozen Soarin' or Test Track? Okay. And then basically everything else is laid out for you, because what else can you really fast pass? You can fast pass Figment, Living with the Land, Spaceship Earth, and like there's not many options to diversify what you can get in your day.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, Magic Kingdom has always been my favorite park. I think if anyone were going to, I think you disagree with me, but I think if anyone were going to Walt Disney World for one day, if they could only do one day in one park, I would recommend Magic Kingdom, because I think you get the most out of your park ticket from that park, because there are so many attractions and there are so many fast passes available for the attractions. And I just love all the fast passes in Magic Kingdom. But I do think in general, like now that we have the new Toy Story Land, like I think it's definitely going to be really hard for us to get fast passes for Slinky Dog or Alien Swirling Saucers. I don't know. I think the whole fast pass system is a whole separate discussion, but oh, Dee, you're back. Hi, Dee. Dee, how do you feel about the fast passes? Do you think we need more in the parks?
What do you mean?
We were talking about the Ratatouille ride that's coming to France.
Yeah.
And Corey made the point that it adds more fast passable options for Epcot.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm actually just excited that we had a really easy time getting Toy Story Mania fast passes because of all the other Toy Story Land rides coming up. So it's really exciting for me. But so yeah, I think I would agree with Corey on that one.
It became like yesterday's news all of a sudden. Like nobody cares about Toy Story Mania.
I know.
Like, that's still a fantastic ride. Like
It is.
It's so sad because like I was never able to ride that until like 2015, because I could never get a paper fast pass when they had the paper fast passes. And then I could never get one when they opened up My Disney Experience. But then all of a sudden I was able to get one, and I rode it for the first time like only a few years ago. And it was so exciting because as like a teenager, I wanted to ride that ride so badly. It looked so fun, and everyone coming out of it was like so happy all the time. And I was like, I want to ride it. But I finally got to ride it, and now like no one wants to go on it or get a fast pass for it. So, I mean, I still love that ride so much.
Yeah, for sure.
It's Alex's favorite ride.
It is. Alex loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah, it's so great for kids, and it's so interactive. I can't remember I think it's your turn, Miguel?
Yes.
Okay. So.
All right. Yeah. So let me take a look here. Okay. So,
I have one.
Yeah. So I shifted everything down. So Galaxy's Edge became my number 4, which we already talked about. So my number 3 now would be Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. So we don't know much about this, so it's kind of risky for me to put it on my list, but I'm very much looking forward to it. I know that it's going to be more of a show type experience, but it's still supposed to be immersive. And I think this one is more about the overall experience for me. Alex is at an age, and will be for the next few years, where cars and speed and that kind of thing is just very exciting for him. He loves the Speedway at in Tomorrowland, and so I think this will be something he enjoys. I kind of lament the fact that he doesn't have Lights, Motors, Action to check out, and so and I love the idea of bringing McQueen and Mater and some of those characters like into the park in a meaningful way. I thought Cars, the movie, was fantastic, and I love the idea of incorporating that more. I don't think Disney had found quite the right way to do it. And so I'm just glad to see that they're attempting something with it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zoe loves Cars. So, I mean, I know Zoe loves Cars, so she was like, ooh, Cars. But I sort of miss Lights, Motor, Actions too. But I think incorporating more unique things into the parks is definitely a huge plus. Corey, how do you feel about that?
So I feel very strongly about this. So like, even if it's like a show more geared towards kids or whatever it ends up being, I really like to see all of the major Disney and Pixar movies represented somewhere in the parks. And Cars for Disney World has kind of been lacking for that. I mean, what do we have? We have a Cruz Ramirez that talks over in a corner that's not even used anymore. That's all we have. So it's a big deal. I think we need something like, you know, the Racing Academy there. And I said the same thing about like, I want something Big Hero 6. I know there's a Baymax meet and greet, but give us like something Big Hero 6. And there's a lot of other movies too, really big popular movies that aren't really represented yet. So I'm glad they're starting to move somewhere in the direction of, hey, let's get them somewhere in the parks. So I'm very happy with that.
And Corey, just to build off of that real quick, and maybe that's what Hollywood Studios is going, that's what it's becoming, is that kind of catch-all major Disney film and Pixar film place. Because if you think, you know, with Toy Story and Land and then even some of the other things, and now they're putting that show on the other side of the park. They're putting it out over by the Tower of Terror and all of that. And so I'm wondering,
Frozen's already
that's
there.
kind of an odd place to put it. What else is going there that's going to make that fit? So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, first of all, Hercules should be more represented in the park because we don't have anything Hercules, and that's
so
yeah, that's probably like my favorite Disney movie.
Wow.
And Big Hero 6 really should be like represented even more so than just the Baymax meet and greet in Epcot. Zoe mentioned, which I think would be an amazing idea, a like Big Hero 6, like Baymax Flight of Passage, where you're like Hero on the back of Baymax and you're like flying through, but like that would just be so cool. And I think the Pixar and Disney movies that are underrepresented need to be sort of brought more to the surface. And I think like movies like Frozen, and I don't know, like Frozen is the only one coming to mind right now, but I think it can be a little bit overrated sometimes. Please don't like hate me anyway. But I really think, yeah, Dan said Hercules is featured in Happily Ever After, but that's about it. I think more classic movies, like even though Hercules isn't really that classic, but it's from the 90s. So I think movies more like that should be represented. And Cargo saying, bring me a Monsters Inc. ride, but we have the laugh floor. So at least Monsters Inc. is being represented in that aspect.
And I think that's the thing. Like, I think we'd all want a ride for everything, right?
Yeah.
But we recognize that's not going to be the case. So sometimes you get a show. You know, but I was thinking, as you were talking about your favorite, and maybe you guys will point something out to me that I'm totally overlooking, but now that they've taken the Lion King movie out of the land...
I didn't know they did that.
Is Lion King represented? And I mean, that would be my favorite Disney movie.
So it's in the show in Animal Kingdom?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, the Festival of the Lion King.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
And then I was thinking, like, that's just an empty space too right now. They have no announcements and no plans as far as we know to do anything with it. We have nothing for WALL-E. There's nothing for WALL-E. Yep. Take WALL-E, do another environmental friendly show in that space like it was before, but with WALL-E and Eve. And there you go. WALL-E's represented.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
And Mouse Talk, so Melissa or Walt, whoever it is, they said, I want a villain's ride. And oh my gosh, if they came out with a villain's ride, I am like the most, like the biggest villains fan, like Disney villains. If we got a villains ride, oh my gosh, I would cry. I would be so excited. Oh my gosh.
Totally agree with Virgo on the Pinocchio. I would like something
Thinking
Pinocchio
about it.
and has that. But
yeah, well, if only we still had like some of the dark rides, like Snow White, or Pinocchio, or Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, even though that attraction is really just about a toad getting drunk and then crashing his car and going to underneath the bad place. Yeah. So I don't know. If we could have like more dark rides or like more villains themed attractions, that'd be really cool. Yeah. So Corey, I think
that could be one way to incorporate Hercules too, with Hades, and then maybe Hercules is fighting Hades.
Oh yes, and Pain and Panic. Yes.
So we haven't necessarily gotten into that kind of thing, but I will say what would intrigue me about that is a couple years ago they did a villains day at the park, and Dee and I went, and they had special like parades and
Maleficent.
Yeah, that was when Maleficent had come out. Yeah, and so they had a whole villains parade, and it was really neat, and we had a blast. Yeah. So because it had so much fun, I think it would be intriguing to have a ride like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the reason why I love Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party so much is because all the villains are out, and now they have the new Hocus Pocus. Well, really new. It's still new in my mind because I remember when it still came out, but they have all the villains come out, and it's so cool. And the beginning of 2016 or the end of 2015, I did Club Villain, and that was so cool. And they had singing and dancing. I wish they would bring that back. I would do it again in a heartbeat. So I'd like to do all the villains themed things. So if we could get those, this has turned into what we are really excited for what, yeah. Because we know, right? We're definitely Disney Imagineers, so we should have a say.
Well, I'm just going to say they should make a heroes versus villains ride, where you get to go on one side or the other and like see it play out. I don't know. It would be so cool.
And it'd be like a game.
Ride when you have a parking lot, right?
It could be like a game too. So like kind of like Toy Story Mania or something like that. And like you get into a line like the villains line, the heroes line, and each game is different. That would be so cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool and unique idea, Dee.
I gotta send it in.
Just get hired by Disney. You can make our dreams come true.
There we go.
For reals.
So I don't remember who it is next, but I think it's Corey.
You got it. All right, but actually, I only have one thing left on my list that hasn't been talked about. So we got my number 1, number 2, number 3. So I have one honorable mention. So that's what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
And this one is this happens at Disney every year. I've just never experienced it, and that is Christmas time in Disney. So me and Haley are going to be moving there, and our plan is, again, no blockout date annual passes, to do Magic Kingdom on December 25th in Disney. It's going to be awesome. We're going to eat at the Jungle Skipper Canteen and have just the most magical Christmas of all time. And I am so stoked for that. I'm so glad that we're moving in time to be able to do it. And it's going to be absolutely amazing, I'm sure. I can't wait. Have you guys ever done Christmas in Disney before?
No, we've not done Christmas Day in Disney.
No. But that's one of the days that it gets like so packed that it'll
close the park.
Yeah.
Or at least like they'll reach capacity. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So. Yeah, I have not been there on Christmas, but I have been there on Halloween. And I'm going back. Actually, Corey, I think we might be able to see like you and Haley because we're going the 31st of October. So I get to be there on Halloween again.
We will definitely be there on the 31st. So we're going to be there the whole last week, probably until like the 1st or 2nd of November. So we will definitely be there.
Awesome. Yeah, my birthday is on the 4th of November, so I'm staying until that day, and then we're flying home on the 4th. So I'm sure we will see you one of those days.
That's awesome.
So you have 2 trips coming up, Megan?
Yeah, I do. I have one coming up in, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many days. I'm leaving on the 30th of August, and my mom and I just booked this other one. Megan, Halloween, no. Who would have thought? Yeah, I love Halloween, and my birthday's right around that time. So my mom and we're going to go together, just the two of us, and it will be really fun. Yeah. I'm excited.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a great experience, Corey. That's really neat.
Yeah, and I know you guys, that's like your favorite restaurant, or Haley's favorite restaurant. Tastes like chicken. That's what she likes.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite, and it's her absolute favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And Cargo, remind me when your trip is, because almost definitely we will be there when you're down. And then Ray JSF says they think that Tokyo Disneyland might be getting a Big Hero 6 ride.
Oh,
that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
But that's mixed feelings, because if it does, that reduces the chances
go
they're going to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's nice to have certain things in different parks, but I wish they would all come to Disney World first, because then experience it, and then everyone else could.
Be the co-op marketplace for the rides.
Yeah, right? Like, we could test them all out, and if they work for us, then they could go to the other parks.
I love it.
Yeah, so speaking of other Disney parks, my 4th pick, because my 2nd pick was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and I talked about my 3rd pick being Ratatouille. My 4th pick is actually the Tron coaster that will be coming to Tomorrowland, and I am super excited for this one. I have seen those videos of the Tron coaster from Shanghai Disneyland, and it just looks so awesome. It almost reminds me of the inside of Test Track, just from all the lighting, but I think riding on like those bikes will be so cool. It's such a different and unique roller coaster. I can't wait until they start construction on that. How do you guys feel about the Tron coaster?
I cannot wait for the Tron coaster. And so I am very particular about rides I go on sometimes. So like everyone knows I can't do teacups, I can't do spinning. But another thing like I kind of am afraid to do, because it might ruin my day, is Florida's version of Space Mountain, because it's not smooth at all. It's very rickety. It like jerks me back and forth, and then sometimes I come out and like I'm like all cramped up and I feel terrible. So like Haley's always like, let's go on, and I'm just like, we could just like walk this way. So, but I love roller coasters. I love drops and I love dips. I love that. I just so to have something like Tron there available instead of Space Mountain, or instead of, I love Space Mountain, but instead of our version of Space Mountain, is going to be really, really good for me.
You keep saying,
how about you,
version of Space Mountain? Does that mean Disneyland has a smoother version of Space Mountain?
Oh, like 10 times smoother. It's so much smoother. So
you're also what, Corey? What were you gonna say? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's all good. So like I rode Florida's version of Space Mountain a lot, but like as a younger person. And then like I got older, I went through the military, and then I'm older now. And during like my older state, I was used to California's Space Mountain. And it's smooth. It's very smooth.
Yeah.
And then I got back and I jumped on Florida's, and I came out like feeling awful.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Space Mountain is a super jerky ride. I used to love it as a kid too, but as an adult, I can't do it anymore. So it's interesting for me to hear that it's better over at Disneyland. That's cool. That's encouraging. But yes, I'm excited for Tron.
The other thing with Disneyland's Space Mountain is that you're not sitting by yourself too. You're sitting in like a row of 2 people. And then Dan also said the one in Disneyland Paris goes upside down. So I don't know how I would feel if Space Mountain went upside down.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, Dee loves coasters, I'm not a big roller coaster guy. I don't like big drops. So I haven't looked enough at what they've released, and I'd have to just kind of see. You know, I'm not a Splash Mountain guy. I'm not a Space Mountain guy. I rode them a lot early on in our marriage just because I had to. But now we have the kids, so somebody has to stay with the kids. And so I just don't do them anymore. But for example, like your Thunder Mountains, I'm good with. The Miners ride, the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I actually love that one because it's a very pleasant experience. Yeah. So I just have to see what it's like. I really like Test Track. So I can go as fast as anybody wants to go. I just don't like drops. And so we'll see. We'll see if it's something I ride or not. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Miguel. I do like roller coasters, but some of them I cannot ride. So like Expedition Everest, I have to be in like a really good mind space to ride that because sometimes I get really sick riding that. Wow. And I think Seven Dwarfs is like one of the smoothest roller coasters, and that's why I'm so excited to do Slinky. And I know Corey and Dan in the chat are just talking about Slinky Dog, and I have a fast pass for that coming up, so I'm really excited to experience it. But from the videos that I've seen, Tron looks really smooth, and it looks like it doesn't look super intense, but I just think that the lighting and the experience of it just makes it what is so popular in Shanghai Disneyland. So I'm excited to try it when it comes. And I'm happy that it's not replacing anything. So it's not I thought for sure it was going to replace Tomorrowland Speedway, but luckily it's not replacing anything in Tomorrowland, and we get a new ride in just the back. So
very cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So like, I have mixed feelings about the Tomorrowland Speedway too. A lot of people, like, I guess, were bummed out that it wasn't replacing the Speedway because they're like I saw comments like, oh, so I still have to smell that gasoline smell walking through Tomorrowland now. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, there's definitely a big divide on people who really don't like the Speedway and really do like the Speedway. Yeah. And it always fetches a line. So there's always traffic going to it. So, I mean, as long as there's always traffic going to it, I guess I don't see why Disney would take it out, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that for adults, like, it's a lame thing.
Yeah.
But our son, who's 3, absolutely loves it. It's one of his top 3 rides in all of Disney. Because the carts being on the track, which is what makes it lame for us, is what allows me to have my son drive it, you know? And
right.
So I think for the kids, it's still a good ride, and it's good to have.
And if we think about like what Walt wanted in the parks, he wanted parents and kids to be able to do these things together. And I feel like Indy Speedway does that really well. Yeah. So it may be an underrated ride for a lot of the adults and fans, but it's what Walt intended for the park. So yeah. I don't think it can get rid of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I see Cargo said it's not lame, it's cargo friendly, but I used to love that ride when I was a kid because it would, you would be like driving your own car. And I thought that was the coolest thing as a kid. But then as an adult, I never wanted to go on it because I thought it was the silliest thing.
Yeah.
Then the last trip that we went on, I went on it for the first time in like 10 or 12 years. And I thought it was so fun. And it was actually really hard to drive, like much, much harder to drive than a real car. But it was so much fun. And it was really enjoyable for me. And you have great views of the castle. And I think it's one of the things that makes Disney World Disney. And even in Disneyland, it's just such a classic Disney attraction. I think it would be really hard to get rid of it, but I think at some point in the future they will get rid of it, or at least try and update it to more eco-friendly cars because of that smell. But yeah, I think as an adult, it was really enjoyable for me. I actually have a fast pass for that coming up for my trip, and my boyfriend really wants to be like, he wants to do the really the immersive rides. Like, he wants to be able to do things, so we're gonna do Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin. I'm gonna have him drive the car, and I'm gonna be the passenger. So I'll let everyone know how it feels to be the passenger as an adult.
Oh, fun. That's right. I keep forgetting. It's gonna be like his first time at Disney. Is that right?
Yeah, his first time. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's cool.
A long time.
Trying not to like overwhelm him with things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, did we cover everyone's list? Do you guys have anything else on your...
I've got one last one that didn't get covered.
Okay,
so I am looking forward to the Star Wars resort that they're building. I read the latest thing on it. It's supposed to actually, you're supposed to be able to walk from your resort to Galaxy's Edge. And so to me, one of the things that I oftentimes hear from people at Disneyland, which I've never been, Dee went, but I've never been, is that while ours is more immersive because it's Disney World and you don't see the Chinese takeout place across the street and those kinds of things, they said that what they do appreciate about Disneyland is if you stay at the resort, you're walking distance from the parks. Like you're right there. And I think that this accomplishes that. I think Disney has met a number of needs over the years with their resorts and the different resorts they're building. You have so many more options now. I'm not a huge fan of the huge increases in price in the last few years, but I do think it's another need being met in saying, okay, you want a very themed, immersive resort experience that puts you right at the park. Yeah. And so like I said, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm very excited about that kind of resort coming to Disney.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would pay a lot of money to stay there. I know Kenny was saying something that it was going to be so ridiculous, like almost $600 or $700 a night. Wow. And like, I don't know, like that's what Kenny said, but who knows what the prices will be. But I know a lot of people will pay a lot of money to be able to experience that. Yeah. So that's a great pick. Corey, as a Star Wars fan, how do you feel about that hotel?
Yeah, and I imagine it to be, a deluxe resort. So it would have to be like I'll be living there, but it would have to be like a special occasion for me to stay there. But I am definitely, when it opens, going to go check it out. Because I'm super, super excited to see what they do with the place. If I don't know, you get greeted by like agents or stormtroopers as you walk in. I'm very curious to see how they execute it. But they could go really, really crazy with it and make it super, super interesting.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it will be so interesting to see how it turns out. And I've seen sort of the concept designs and it looks so cool. And I think, I heard that they'll be able to recognize your scores from the attractions in the hotel, and they'll congratulate you on being successful and, against the resistance and whatever. It was so cool with their ideas. Excited about. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to talk about, or if you want to plug anything. I know, Corey, you always have pin videos coming out. Do you want to say anything about your upcoming videos?
I have a Rapunzel pin board right here. It came out really nice, but you're gonna have to wait till either Monday or Tuesday to see it. So stay tuned for
stay tuned.
How about you, Dee and Miguel? We know that you guys have Jeopardy every Sunday night, Disney Trivia every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys like Disney Trivia, please join us on A Disney Life for Me. And do you guys want to say anything else?
Yeah, well, we just got a vlog out today.
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios vlog. It's our last series with the Love Family Productions, so that's a pretty cool one. You can check that out. And tomorrow we'll be at Hollywood Studios for Trivia Night. So we'll be actually in the parks doing Trivia Night. So that'll be fun.
So check us out.
That'll be so exciting.
Yeah.
So, guys, I really appreciate you coming. Thank you so much, Dee and Miguel, for being our guests. And Corey, always, it's just so much fun to talk about Disney with you. And Dan, we missed you so much, and I really appreciate everyone coming here and dealing with what may have been some lag, or I'm not in my normal filming location. Steve, trivia is at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on A Disney Life for Me. So I hope to see everyone there tomorrow. Please give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, or just subscribe to everyone's channels. We really miss Dan, and we hope that he's having an amazing time at Walt Disney World. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see everyone next week. So, bye.
Bye, guys.